Sound of justice, sirens. Okay, this this video is about lab tests for biotoxin illness. And I did not research the pronunciation of this, so I'm just gonna wing it. So excuse any mispronunciation. Matrix Metalloproteneinase-9. Matrix Metalloproteneinase-9, MMP-9. Excuse me. MMP-9 is released in response to inflammatory chemicals produced by your immune system. High MMP-9 is a sign that you have an inflammatory response happening in your body due to a biotoxin illness. MMP-9 can destroy tissue and has been implicated in, oh, this is going to be a tough one to pronounce, demyelination. I'm going to spell it DEMYELINATION. Demyelination and diseases such as MS. Interesting. They have found that chronic Lyme is behind a lot of MS. Lowering MMP-9 can improve headaches, neurological issues, cognitive brain function, muscle pain, breathing, static shocks, and urinary frequency, which I'm having issues with that now, being back in this town and back around all of these towers and high frequency being thrown at me. On a personal note, I do want to mention that the family that kicked me out and caused this whole entire fiasco that we're dealing with, that has caused further cover-up of liability, further federal crimes to be committed, on and on, yada yada. You can look at my other videos if you want to see the whole ball of wax that they've created through just not telling the truth in the first place. But the brother that I was staying with extreme mold damage in his house, and also has Gulf War syndrome and symptoms of Gulf War syndrome, as he was active duty in Iraq during the war. He and his wife was willing to go to a benefit for a friend of his that basically had MS. And luckily, nicely, kindly, that person, that family member, his friend, their family was kind enough to raise money for that friend of his. Yet they would do nothing to help their sister that was dealing with this stuff. Instead, kicked her out into the street in the middle of winter, called a welfare check on her when she wasn't suicidal or going to hurt anybody, just too sick with untreated biotoxin illness to be able to function on her own. No help from the family whatsoever. Instead, they have gone against this person and have created a whole yucky issue. Putting a spotlight on this city, putting a spotlight on this family and their extreme hypocrisy. It's a sad situation. It's not anything that I wanted to ever have to deal with, but for the sake of the health of the future generations and a better tomorrow, this is what I have to do now in this situation. And, but yeah, no, it's really interesting that that brother and that sister-in-law that basically are the reason that I was almost killed on an unwarranted welfare check call, were willing to go participate in a benefit for a friend that had MS, but not their own sister that has the root cause of what is now being found out to be the root cause of MS, which is chronic Lyme disease, and something that has been covered up for decades, and especially was being covered up with this girl as she was born at a radioactive nuke site and biological proving grounds, and then had exposure to those same sites for the first few years of her life. My siblings, it was nice that they were spared, because by the time they came along, my dad started being sent out to those turnaround nuke house jobs. Nuke houses / biological proving grounds. But, so yeah, they got to be spared, and their health got to be spared, and they have different, sort of DNA markers, and genetic, DNA lottery, I guess, as I, and I got the worst of it. And yeah, so that's yet another biolab with a little bit of my personal story in there. And you can check out more through my other videos if you'd like. Matrix Metalloproteneinase-9, MMP-9. But yet an allergy specialist all of a sudden wanted to say, why do you need these labs? Well, if you were an allergy specialist and a true one, you already knew why. So that you're making it obvious that you are part of the cover-up of all of this, covering up the interests of a corrupt police officer who has now been found out to abuse special needs children in his wife's child care and strangle his own child. No longer an officer. Son of a sergeant here. You're only bringing a spotlight to this whole thing by you guys not doing the right thing in the first place. A worldwide spotlight, no less.